Namaste. Let's start the day with session 3. We had a great day yesterday from inaugural to session 1 and 2. Now we start session 3, which is connecting Hindu economy worldwide. For this, I invite Shri Nathpuri ji, industrialist from UK, as the chairperson of this session. A quick introduction about Shri Nathpuri ji. Originally from Punjab, now lives in UK. After completing a diploma in engineering, he joined FG Scarrett Limited in 1967. Then he set up his own company and went on to acquire FG Scarrett, where he worked. It was the start of his acquisition spree, now part of Purico Group in UK. His businesses based in UK, US, Germany, China, and Mexico. He's keen to support education at all levels. He set up the Indian Institute of Advanced Research in Gandhinagar, which was opened by the President of Bharat, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam in 2006. Now it has obtained university status. Shri Subhash ji is Deputy President of London Chamber of Commerce and Industry and a partner as City Accountant CBW Blackstone Franks. The firm is full-service accounting firm with specialization in taxation and corporate finance. The firm is also involved in asset management services. Subhashji has increased his focus on Africa recently. In particular, he's working on affordable housing projects in a number of fast-growing African countries under the PPP model. Subhashji has extensive experience in advising and doing business in Bharat. He also sits on the steering committee of World Hindu Economic Forum. I request Sanjay Puri ji. Sanjay Puri ji serves as the chairman of the US-India Political Action Committee, a national political action committee representing over 2.5 million Indian Americans. He's a frequent public speaker on US-India relations and the political impact on the Indian-American community. He's the founder and CEO of Optimos Incorporated, an information technology company based in Reston, Virginia. Before founding Optimos, he worked at the World Bank. He received his MBA in finance from the George Washington University School of Business. He's a coordinator of Hindu Political Conference at World Hindu Congress 2014. I would like to invite now Ms. Uma Reddy ji. Ms. Uma Reddy, she is an electrical engineer, a first-generation technocrat entrepreneur, MD of a SME, Messrs. High-Tech Magnetics Electronics Private Limited since 3 decades. Manufacturing custom-built transformers, coils, inductors for MNC and PSUs. Her company won the Performance Award from GE Medical Systems, South Asia in 2001. Kirloskar Best Supplier Award in 2005. ABB Safety Awards in 2008 and 2011. She has won the National Award for SSI Women Entrepreneurs in 2001 and State Rajyotsava Award in 2005. I also invite Shri Sachin Goyal ji. Shri Sachin Goyal is the founder and CEO of Option Town, the leader in the world of dynamic options and repeat subscription-based products in several industries, including airlines and hotels. He's a seasoned inventor and holds 17 international patents globally in USA, Australia, South Africa, and Singapore. He holds a master's degree in supply chain management from MIT Boston and a bachelor's of technology from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, Bharat, with honors. Now I request our chairperson, Shri Nathpuri ji, to start the session, Connecting Hindu Economy Worldwide.
Brothers, sisters, respected elders, pranam. Welcome. We had a good first day yesterday, and I'm sure it's going to continue throughout the whole conference. Today's theme, Connecting Hindu Economy Worldwide. This process has started. We are here together. We are slowly connecting with each other. but how do we make it more stronger ties, more vibrant? How can we build on what we have? Whatever we have is never enough. We have got to continue to improve. I happen to be in manufacturing. We make lots of investment to be the best what we can be. But as soon as we finish the one investment, we know we have got to look at it, how we are going to do better tomorrow. Because somebody is coming with a faster train from behind is going to pass me by. If I don't think about it, I'm going to be in front tomorrow also. And that we can only be if we're continuously striving. We have lots of people. Hindus are in every part of the world, wherever we go. We should be able to communicate with them, connect with them, take advantage of our culture, to be able to talk to them in the same language. Somebody might have moved 100 years ago, but they still like the same food which their ancestors used to have. But we should also have the next steps in this journey. Create institutions which promote connections between Hindu businesses worldwide. We should also help each other to expand wherever we can. I'm not saying we should work against somebody, but if our friendly business from the community is around, there is no reason why they shouldn't get a look into our supply chain, or if service they can provide. We also need to use our influence wherever we can to help. I always look at it, we are important in every area, but we need to let our community know we are, and let other people see us in that context. I come from Nottingham. I still carry Indian passport, but that's my new home city. I was talking to the Nottingham City people, I asked them, come. See, there is a conference happening in Delhi. Why don't you encourage them to come to Nottingham? What can you offer? So if anybody is thinking of going to UK for business, they are here, talk to them. They will try to help, and you might be pleasantly surprised. But in business, whichever party we connect with, our own, our Hindu family, when I say Hindu family, not just the close family, but the wider family, or the local community, we must always look at one thing. For me, my word is what counts. If I sign a contract, there is always a clause which might let me get out, but I can't get out of the word I give. If we say we will supply a certain quality, we will. And in our business, quality is the most important thing. People who are in business, and all of us, we always talk about the Omega watch or this or that or the other. We forget how much it cost, but we always remember the quality. Quality is remembered long after price is forgotten. Our business, it doesn't carry my name. You know, it's only the parent company does, and that's also a little bit not just puri puri ko, but our companies are known for quality. If you're buying a Mercedes, some of you might have a Mercedes car, or an Audi, or a Rolls Royce, or a Bentley, or Jaguar Land Rover, Indian company in UK. If you have one of those, or a BMW, you have contributed to my welfare. If you haven't as yet, I look forward to the time when you'll go out and buy a Rolls Royce and you can park it in front of your house. I'll be very pleased, because that will be another level of success for my greater family, my Hindu family, how you connect. I look at it that all of us need to be open to discussion, connection, and saying, wherever we can, we'll help. And we should make sure we succeed. Without success, nobody is going to listen to us. Success is most important. And when we succeed, we should help. And our hand should always be like this, never like this. That should be our motto. That should be our creed. We don't want favors, we want fairness. We don't want handouts, we want opportunities. We should give and not take, except when we are taking part. Thank you.
Now I request Shri Subhash Takrarji.
Thank you, and also thank you very much, the chair of the panel, Natpuri. I've known him for several years, and I have to say he is one of the greatest philanthropists that we have in the United Kingdom. He is a contributor in every way, and I think the World Hindu Economic Forum is really, really lucky to have him actively involved with us. He deserves a lot of support and goodwill. Ladies and gentlemen, I should start by saying namaste, and to all my Hindu delegates at this third World Hindu Economic Forum, which started with the vision and truly industrious efforts of Swami Vivekananda ji. It still really fascinates me that this man of spirituality has seen so far ahead to bring Hindu business people to meet and interact. In my mind, this is a unique model for growth and development as the title development as the Hindu title, and Hinduism is just used as a label to bring the businessmen together. And I think this is quite different from many other Hindu labeled arrangements. And I feel very proud to be part of this organization and the vision of Swamiji. No doubt it's going to take time. It's going to build up. As somebody told me, that organizations like this tend to take 8 to 10 years to mature. And I think we are still, this is our third year as a place. My subject today is strengthening Hindu business hubs around the world within the wider context of connecting the Hindu economy worldwide. As our chair has already mentioned about connecting Hindus, I hope my talk is going to cover some of the aspects of how we can actually go about doing some of this. So, move on. Yes. So, I think the topic itself demands knowledge of where the Hindus are all over the world. Of course, we've got a large number of Hindus in India. 85% of India's population is Hindus. But when we start looking at where are the Hindus in the rest of the world? And this morning I was listening to one of the television programs, I think it was Z, I believe. They were talking about Myanmar and how Hindus have settled in there for many years. And there's quite a population of Hindus in Myanmar. But I looked at the only authentic report that I could come across, and that is the high-level committee report on the Indian diaspora dated 19th of December 2001. And this provides very interesting statistical data as well as the history and trend and where the Hindus are and what they are doing. And I'll just like to share this. I hope people can see. That screen is a bit far, but I'll try and also elaborate. But we've got a good spread of Hindus around the world. And this chart quite interestingly indicates in the Gulf region, we have something near 3 million Hindus. And they're largely semi-skilled and professionals. In South Africa, we have 850,000, and they're professionals and business people. In Israel, interestingly, there are 45,000 Hindus. And in the UK, we have around 1 million Hindus. They've achieved prominence in all spheres, including business, industry, education, professions, media, and also politics, and increasingly philanthropy too. I think it's also, in the UK is an example, I live there so I can see it, is an example of how the Hindus have fitted in well with the local society in every respect. The US, we have something like 1.5 million Hindus who enjoy distinction of the highest earning capability, best educated, very successful, and occupied in skilled areas like medicine, science, engineering, etc. Philanthropy is also a big part of what Hindus play. And I think we haven't yet seen statistical data of how much philanthropy Hindus from the diaspora do in India and for the Indian society. So one day we hope to see that. Canada has 700,000 Hindus, similar kind of profile as the US. And interestingly, Malaysia, 1.4 million, blue collar and white collar background. And Myanmar, as I was mentioning earlier, 2.4 million. But many of these residents of Myanmar have forgotten their history as Hindus, or at least India. So there are some 20 million Hindus all around the world, excluding, of course, India. And the migration started in the early 19th century and took place, and they settled in Africa, South Asia, Fiji, and latterly in Gulf and the West. And apart from the Chinese diaspora, the Indian diaspora, the Hindu diaspora is the biggest in the world. And this is something that World Hindu Economic Forum needs to take note of, and we need to exploit it. So let us now look at the wealth of the diaspora. Well, some information and reports that I've been able to get from the banks, HSBC Private Bank estimated in 2010 that the non-resident Asians, now that's a wider definition, it's not Hindus, not NRIs, but South Asians, the wealth was estimated at $1 trillion. And when you look at the Indian economy overall is $1.3 trillion, that brings into perspective the size of this group. And within that, the Hindu and the diaspora represent something like $500 billion. That's also quite sizable. And this is supported by further reports from CII and also from the Ministry of Finance back in 2010. This data is going back a bit, so one has to upgrade it a bit. And the estimate is that the wealth is increasing by about 6.8% per annum. And today, I think if I had to estimate it, we're saying that the NRI wealth would be about $720 billion, and amongst that, the Hindu wealth would be about $612 billion. the biggest market of the NRI wealth, yeah, that's the chart, is in the USA, followed by UAE, UK, and then UAE, Canada, Hong Kong, and Singapore. There are some 43,000 Hindu millionaires in the US and some 13,000 Hindu millionaires in the UK. And Canada is 3,500. Let's look at how the transfer of money is taking place. And I'm going to come closer to why I'm giving you all this data very soon. But this is a chart where you can see that in 2009, the NRI remittances into India were just less than $47 billion. And I estimate the Hindu remittances out of that were just less than $40 billion. And in 2010, the figure was $55 billion. And out of that, it is estimated that 40% of these remittances are easily investable monies. These are not trying to give money to their families or anything like that. This is spare money that they could invest. In comparison to this, the Chinese diaspora are people who remit the highest amount of money into China. And that's something we need to learn and see how they're doing it. 2/3 of the Chinese FDI incomes comes from overseas Chinese, notably from Hong Kong, Taiwan, South Asia. But in comparison, only 6% of is the comparable figure for India. So it's very, very low compared to this. So there's a lot of room, a lot of money that could still flow into India. And I think the present government, and in the past, the previous BJP government, I noticed work pretty good at bringing out products that were attracting new money coming into India. So what are the driving forces that lead to this NRI Hindu wealth that is taking place? Well, it's the demographics. There are, interestingly, 73% of the NRI millionaires are below the age of 50. This implies relatively more risk-taking than wealth preservation. There's a growing NRI base around the world, and that is increasing the number of wealthy people there. There's growth in economy, and also competition among bankers to try and provide products and services in this area. And this is where I come to it. It is the banks, the private banks, that have done an enormous job, that in the last 10 to 12 years, they've come out with products and ways of managing wealth, which has increased their total wealth that they're managing to the tune of $50 billion today. So I think that's where the focus needs to be. We have a range of private banks, like in India, we've got the ICICI, the Bank of Baroda, SBI. You also have the US international banks like the Citibank and so on that are actively involved, Barclays Bank, a private bank, actively involved in looking after this wealth. So this is where I come to, where what can we do to leverage this strength? And here it is, our first Hindu hub to strengthen. Can WHEF leverage with these banks and their NRI services divisions to develop mutually beneficial products? And just as examples, if WHEF has got a strong Hindu businessmen database, we may be able to work with the banks to offer this and also convince the banks to bring their Hindu customers as members of WHEF. Maybe we can think about WHEF credit card serviced by a particular bank. We could develop business angle with the banks. If we can have a solid database that can work in creating business amongst NRI business houses, like Natpuri was mentioning earlier, that why can't we do business with each other? If we can demonstrate that we are doing it, the banks are going to be behind us to want to work with us. So these are ideas that we can work on. The more focused, wealthy regions of the NRI spread are, of course, US, UK, UAE, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Maybe that's where we start developing these links. So what else can we do about strengthening the hub and creating Hindu economic growth? Well, let's look at the government. The government has been very active in events like Bharatiya Pravasi, Vibrant Gujarat, and just now we had in London the European Bharatiya Pravasi event. These are all created to increase more closeness to India and also increasing amount of remittance and investments taking place in India. And WHEF needs to find ways and means to show that it can influence the government of India's policies that are helping the Hindu businessmen. Okay, got a reminder, I'm just nearly finishing. And how can we do that? Well, we can become a champion for the Hindu diaspora. If WHF can become a champion for the Hindu diaspora, we can influence the government in policies and also help the Hindu business people realize that we can support them and look after their interests, so they will be part of WHEF. And how can we do that? Two areas. One is research and development center. We can create good, solid information that can help create policy. And also we can develop a solid software to enable business to happen. Just some couple of statistics. Resurgent India bond, when it was raised by the Indian government, raised $4.2 billion in 1998. And there was a Millennium Deposit Bond that raised $5.5 billion in 2000. And so these are possibilities of how monies can flow in. So in summary, we need to get closer to the private banks to develop, and that's one of the hubs we can work on. We need to work as a champion for the Hindu diaspora to be able to influence the government and create products. And yesterday we had Nitin Karni who was talking about how do I raise money from abroad for his projects. Well, here's an example. We could create a WHEF bond and get Hindu diaspora to participate with it. Thank you very much.
Namaste. Now, could I request Sanjay Puri ji?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me here. It's been a real pleasure for the second day. We have tremendous panelists, but I think we have some very, very great audience and guests. So I will talk about a few ideas at a general level. I do have a presentation, but I'm hoping that we can have a real discussion because I don't claim to be the fountainhead of all ideas and suggestions. I think it's the interaction that we have. But I think we have started connecting people already. When you see the Puris have already connected, Nat Puri, Sanjay Puri, so there is already that connectivity that has begun. So thank you for that. So let me see if they can turn my presentation on. I hope. While we sort out a few technical things. Let me just tell you that the perspective that I bring is from a pure technology background. I worked in technology for about 25 years. So my experience is all in technology. And I also believe that generally when people talk about how do we enable economic connectivity, I believe it has to result in benefit for both parties. Generally, business people do business based on economic value that gets generated for both parties. And that, I think, has to be one of the key foundations. And I think the third perspective in life, as you move forward, and as you get older, at least I realize it, that there has to be a concept of paid forward or paid back to society, as you say, that if somebody has given you a hand, Mr. Puri talked about, your hand should be like this and not like that. I said I've been in technology for 25 years. I didn't say I know how to operate the PowerPoint yet. So we are working on that. So anyway, the subject obviously is enabling business information exchange among Hindus worldwide using technology for a competitive advantage. So, from a technology perspective, like I said, my background is such that today technology is a real competitive advantage. I can tell you that when we used to recruit employees for my company, in the old days, we would be calling up people, calling up their references, spending weeks and months on end. But now what we do is we recruit a person and we use social media. We find out what they have been posting on their Facebook. We find out through LinkedIn who their connections are. And it has saved us a tremendous amount of money, but our success rate has become much, much higher as we do our recruitment. And technology is disruptive. I mean, I presume 10 years ago, if you were to come to this conference, you'd be calling up your travel agents. Now, maybe some of you still have. But generally today, if you have an app, it's a one-click perspective. And technology obviously gives access to information that can be a competitive advantage. So as I said, I'm going to put some thoughts out there. Hopefully we can have an interaction. Subhash has talked quite a bit about these points, and I think that he really laid out some of the statistics of how successful the NRIs, the people of Indian origin or whatever, the diaspora, whatever the term you want to use. The financial services sector is changing, at least in the United States, that now you don't have to have a physical bank to get banking services. It is really getting to be online. And even in the US now you have a currency called Bitcoin, which is a virtual currency that people are using. So when you start talking about the wealth of the people, how money gets flowed among people, there is an opportunity to create a virtual currency that can kind of flow and take advantage amongst the people who have like values, shared perspectives. Because I can tell you, when you look at when you look at the Islamic countries, they have Islamic banking with their values, etc. But when you start looking at from a currency standpoint, there are a lot of opportunities in virtual currency that you can use. And that's a point that's worth thinking about. The other place where I think that things can happen is pooling the power of the group. Because there are certain habits that people have within, you call it religion, people of like perspectives. The rule of business is if you buy one product, you get a certain price. If you buy 100 products of the same kind, you probably get a better price. During Dhanteras, people buy a lot of gold, maybe clothes, etc. So if there was a pooling mechanism, because there are a lot of pooling technologies today like Groupon and social living and things of that nature. I think in India you have Naptol. You can really consolidate the power of the community in getting favorable pricing. And then the other thing is, you talked about how can we get opportunities. Well, there are websites where you have job openings, where you have business opportunities, and you can create specific groups within that to post either job openings relating to the community, or you can post business opportunities that are related to the community. As I said, you would share information for key positions and share it amongst the community and the group. Obviously, the challenges are, and hopefully we accept it, that we are a pretty competitive group. The reason that you see the wealth that Subhash has put it out there is because we are highly successful and highly competitive and highly type A. So sharing information sometimes is not the easiest thing for us to do. I mean, that's just the historical facts. We can talk about all those things, but the reality is it's obviously Mr. Puri has done a phenomenal job in doing it. But getting everybody to share, especially when you're rising, it becomes much easier when you have risen to share. And that's the big difference. But I think if we can share on the basis that if you give one opportunity, then you will get one opportunity. Because again, as I said, people do things if there's a benefit to them also. So I think those are the things that really exist. And my conclusion as before to you would be that technology is a game changer. Subhash talked about software that can be done, or creating a credit card. Obviously, that would, again, pool the financial resources of the community. I think technology is going to give us so many different opportunities to pool the power, the strength of the community, that I think we have just started putting our mind, and I'm looking forward to having that discussion with you. Thank you.
Now I request Shri Sachin Goyalji.
Well, my pranam to everyone. First of all, I would like to say thanks to all the organizers of this event. I think it's a fabulous event. A lot of very distinguished panelists, speakers. And the best thing is that you get to meet people from so many different fields of life and get to learn from their experiences, which has taken them years and decades to collect, but you can learn very fast and quickly. Well, I've been asked to speak about cutting-edge technology and how it can help businesses in really creating great value. And I would like to share with you how I have toyed or played with that idea for the last 15 years. In fact, I would say maybe 25 years, while they put up the presentation. So when I was at IIT Kharagpur, I used to always feel one thing, that I need to do something in life. And the way I coined the idea was, I need to get to the end of the universe and possibly stretch it by half an inch, at least make some contribution to the world. And so, okay, I have it there. Anyway, so that was the idea, and very naive idea, but what to do, how to do, and where to go about. So I started doing business with my dad first, and what I found was that all I was doing was chasing money, essentially just money allowing you to make more money. And that felt me that, I have to do something a little bit different. That's really not cutting edge. That's not really stretching the universe. So I got a chance to go to MIT. It's the Massachusetts Institute of Technology in Boston. It's one of the, what I should call it, the topmost technical place you could get to, with a number of Nobel laureates, a number of, the best technical minds you can get to, and I got a chance to learn and work with them. So I tried to analyze, this was around 2000, what is cutting edge? What is the next best thing? So if I put together some examples, those are some of the stark cutting edge, you can say, from the 100 years ago when we used to have horse carriages and then we started having car. That's like a big jump that technology brought to us. Or we used to have just books and notebooks, and then we had computers to work on, right? Or we used to have, in fact, even having the telephone itself was a cutting edge, but then having that kind of a telephone and having an iPhone, which allows you to do a lot more than what you can achieve with a regular telephone, that's cutting edge. So my idea was, like I said, I've already talked about it, how can we really stretch? And using technology, how can we achieve it? So I worked on something which I coined as mass collaboration, and I'll give you some history. 100 years ago, Henry Ford, who did the Ford company, said, you can have any color of the car as long as it was black. So what he meant was, it's about mass production. That was what was the mantra 100 years ago. Just produce in mass. One thing, but produce it well, good quality, mass, just take it. Then 50 years later, in the 1960s, 70s, we saw customization. I wanted a yellow Mercedes with a pink top. Can I get it? I can pay twice the money or whatever money I want to pay, but can I get that? That was the customization, right? So, and here I was thinking, what is the next thing? What is going to be the next cutting edge, right? I'm talking 100 years, guys. I'm not talking 5 years, or what would be the next thing? And what had occurred to me there when I was doing my research was, what would be something like mass collaboration? Can I get my yellow Mercedes with a pink top, but within a budget that I can afford? Can an individual, big, large corporation collaborate with millions of its customers, right? Today, millions of those customers are treated like dots. So a large company would build its product connecting the dot. It builds on trends, right? How many people bought what? So there's a trend, and based on that, they produce their stuff. So, but can those dots have much more power, right? And can they collaborate together? And I'll give you two different sets of examples of how we have tried to do that. One is subscription, okay? Today, the way we work, every time we have to buy a product, we want a product, we have to go and buy it. So that's a single transaction model, right? But if you think about it, that brings a big challenge. That means every time you have to buy, the seller has to do a lot of work. They have to spend marketing dollars on you. They have to do all kinds of promotional gimmicks, all kinds of marketing deals, give you the best service, and then hope that you will still buy from them next time, right? Now, for the customer also, there's a big challenge because they have to spend, because there's so much information out there with this information coming from different sources, don't know what's the best deal out there, right? So they have to spend time and then hope they probably get the best deal. My colleague here talked about pooling, right? Can different people pool together and then increase their marketing power and get a better price? Well, what I would say is that let's take some learning from some of the industry along this pooling concept. Telecom. In telecom, people don't buy every minute, right? They buy a subscription once and stay on it forever. Right? And that changes the complete dynamics because they've actually pooled all of their future usage of the technology, of their services, and given it to one provider. And what that does is that they stay on forever. So they're not spending the time or energy every time they have to make a call that who they're gonna use as service provider to make that call. It's a subscription, right? But why can't we do that subscription in most of the other industries, right? And that's the idea, that's the technology we're worked on. And it can be applied to many, many different industries. And I'll give you some examples. I've done a lot of work in the airline industry, and I'll start with that, but then I'll try to cover a few other examples. So the first, in the airlines, we have introduced something called a flight subscription. So you can actually, instead of buying a flight every time, you can buy a flight pass. You can say over a period of 6 months or 9 months or 2 months, whatever. The consumer defines all the parameters. I want to use 10 tickets or 20 or 5, right? And because you are now pooling your future requests, right? And you have the ability to customize it in the way. So I can say how many people can use it. It's my family. Anybody from our family can use those 20 tickets, right? Or it's my business that can use any of those tickets, right? But the key thing is, what we're doing by that is we're pulling all of our future and current usage, but we still have control, right? So now the sellers are all up for it. So they will be willing to give consumers a huge value, either a discount or much better services because of that. And plus, you don't have to go and spend the time in every time doing those transactions or doing, and I'll just give you a very quick way of how you could possibly do that. So if you want to buy just like a flight pass, what you'll do is you'll pick all the cities you want to travel to. Yeah? If somebody just wants to travel between Delhi and Mumbai, you'll just say that. But if somebody wants to travel all over India or all over the world, they could select that, right? And then how many users do you want to add? You know, it's your family, your business, or just yourself. Or now 5 friends could come together and say, I want to, but let's buy 40 tickets that we think we can use over 5 years, right? And how many flights we want, what is the period, all of the parameters, and you get to different subscription models. So you get a subscription, you know, and you can customize the way you want. And just like in any other industry, yesterday we were talking about redefining money using Visa. We have redefined e-commerce by offering financing on everything you purchase, right? So you could say, now that I've bought a subscription for $2,000 or $5,000 or 5 lakhs or 2 lakhs or 50,000, I can even pay through in multiple modes. I can pay all of it once and further get a better price from the seller. Or I can just pay 20% now and actually pay rest in easy installments, right? So the key mantra here is that I can pool my own future usage, right, and get a much better value. Now let's apply that into several other industries, right? We have fuel. Everybody almost today would have at least 2 cars, right? So every time you fill up your tank, in India, it's about 2,000, 3,000 rupees, right? If you have 2, if you add that up for a year, you're actually spending about 1 lakh or 2 lakh rupees on fuel on just your 2 cars, right? But where do you spend all that money? You spend in that to any kind of gas station or petrol station you get to, right? But if you could just pool that and say, look, I'm willing to spend that on all IOCL or on British Petroleum, right? And I have enough pumps around there, so it's convenient to me, but I can do that, boy, those companies will be able to give you a huge value back for them because you've just helped them with the biggest problem they have, how to get repeat customers, right? And I like to connect that with a story You know, 20, 30 years ago, when I was a kid, I remember our dad would take us to specific sellers. So if we wanted to buy shoes, we would go to that uncle's shop. If we were buying food, we would go to that uncle's shop. If we were buying clothes, we would go to that particular providers, right? And the moment we got there, we got great experience. They will bring us chai, nashta, right? We get the products right away. We always get a 10% discount. And God forbid, if anything broke, we will get it fixed like this, right? But today, in this globalization, that just disappeared because there are so many providers and so many buyers, right? So, but if we could connect, if we could build this subscription between the customers and their sellers, right? You will again get that. And your dad will not need to know all of those millions of sellers for it to happen, but you could actually do it. Now, Visa people, when they invented Visa, had to go through a huge problem setting up with every bank, setting up those Visa card swipe machines, right? But today we have a smartphone. You can get that subscription just on your smartphone. You go in there, you show it to the guy, he knows, and you are on there. So the sales agent, when you get to, let's say, a food outlet, the moment you show him your cell phone, he will know, oh, this guy has bought 50,000 for next 1 year. The smile will just go up double, right? And if it takes him a minute and a half to serve your order, he'll try to serve you that order in 45 seconds. Because the complete landmark changes. And guess what? I was actually just talking to another food company owner out of Hyderabad last night. And I gave him an example that, look, sometimes when you make too many laddus, and you know by tomorrow they're all going to go waste if nobody buys them, hey, guess what? Now you will know how many people like laddus, right? So you could get a specific offer just to those people that, look, you often buy laddus from us. Would you like to get them now at a much special price? So what you have done is using technology, you have prevented loss of that product that you have, and you've actually delivered a great service because those guys are much happy getting those laddus, right? Because they really like them anyway. So that's what you can really achieve if you actually use subscription and build that mass collaboration between the sellers and the buyers. And one last idea I would like to just talk about. My time is almost up. Now, so that's one subscription. That's one different model that you can use instead of for mass collaboration. There's another model. The other model is option selling. Well, we can sell either products directly or we can sell options on our product. And I'll give you a few examples. We do it in the aviation industry that you can buy an option for an upgrade to business class. So normally business class tickets might be, let's say, $1,000. I'll just take 30 seconds. $1,000 or whatever, right? But now you can buy an option that in case the business class seats fly empty, you might get an upgrade. So again, it's an option selling, but because we have collected this valuable information, it helps to combine the two, and the customer gets better service, and the provider gets extra revenue. So with this, I would like to end my session. Thanks to all of you. And I hope we all can bring focus on building cutting-edge technology. Thank you.
Now I call upon Srimati Uma Reddy ji.
Chairperson of this morning session, Shri Puri ji, my esteemed fellow panelists, delegates from all over the world who are here, the leading light of our country, the women entrepreneurs, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, namaste, namaskara. I've been asked to, I think I just turned this around. I've been asked to speak about the challenges of being a first-generation entrepreneur. I wear the hat of the women entrepreneur today. And I was just thinking probably I'll just share some quick stories about women entrepreneurship development in the country and globally. Why women entrepreneurs? Globally, women entrepreneur businesses represent about 12 to 39% different in different countries, and more so in the private business. Women actually contribute 68% of the world's work, and they receive only 10% of the income and own only 1% of property. And I'm sure these are statistics which some of you would have come across sometime or the other. Here too, though we have a large number of SMEs, and we know that the number of SMEs are huge in the country, across the country, yet women are only about 12 to 15% of the SMEs in the country. And that number honestly hasn't changed much. I started my business 3 decades ago, 30 years ago, when I was in my final year of engineering here in Bangalore, South. And at that time, we were about 8 to 10% of women entrepreneurship, or even lesser maybe. We haven't made great strides in terms of women entrepreneurship development. Yes, we have seen a larger participation of women at the workplace. If you look at any engineering college across the country, the number of women are, in fact, more than 50%. In fact, I understand that they have a negative mechanism of enrolling women or girls into colleges. So they have to get a higher percentage, otherwise there would be more girls in an engineering college. So, but then most of them do take up working, not necessarily, largely in the IT and ITES spaces. Taking a step forward in the 80s, women were at that point of time more job seekers, and suddenly in the 80s, women entrepreneurship started and they became job creators, and they started employing more women. So you suddenly saw a larger representation of women coming into the workplace, largely to establish an identity, but more importantly for that additional income. Women were wearing many hats. They were they were trying to run an enterprise at a time when they said, okay, my children have grown up, they're going to school, going to college. I seem to have a little bit of time around. Can I start doing something, some economic activity during that free time? That's where women started, saying, can I do something, earn an additional income in my free time? Because they still, in India, women play a role of being homemakers. We also still do a large amount of networking and social activities. And we are also trying to run this enterprise. And if we are trying to do all this, we are always trying to perfect that juggling act all the time. To be good at all the three things is a difficult balancing act, and we are always trying to do that. But over the last 3 decades, we've seen a larger participation, and women entrepreneurship has come onto the stage. We have gender equality now. We have women entrepreneurs who are more confident. There are also a lot of government schemes, be it in the central, be it in the state. There are a lot of schemes that support women entrepreneurship's development. There are also associations that support women entrepreneurs. There are financial institutions which have some very good schemes like the Mahila Udyami scheme. Yes, we do have a policy practice gap in the country, but yet there is a large amount of women entrepreneurship schemes that are supporting women entrepreneurship development. Believe that this is a good way of employability. Women tend to employ more women, so there is in that process a larger participation of women at the workplace. I will also say that women entrepreneurship has made greater strides in the present technology era. IT has helped women to set up enterprises, started enterprises, or most startups start up very small in their own garage, in their own additional space that they have. Probably even in, my husband has an office. Can I take an additional room from there and start off my data entry work? Can I do some software development work? That's how most women entrepreneurs start. They start small. But then, of course, IT and ITS services has helped them to, be able to do this. But over a period of time, they have started growing. And personally, I have been part of an organization called Awake, which was the Association of Women Entrepreneurs of Karnataka. For over 2 decades, we were trying to support women entrepreneurship at the grassroots level, trying to teach them costing, trying to teach them self-employment, and thereafter growing into entrepreneurship, largely in the rural areas. And most women entrepreneurs started off with traditional businesses in food processing, in handicrafts, in garments, in made-ups. These were the kind of products that women entrepreneurs were doing. But over a period of time, realized that most women entrepreneurs, we tend to get complacent at a certain stage. We don't really have many women entrepreneurs in the country who are at the growth level. So we felt that there was a larger need for women entrepreneurs to be, given that motivation at that point to grow, to delegate, to grow their business. And so then we started this organization called Emerge, which is for women in engineering, technology, and business services. And here were a group of entrepreneurs. We were all in the IT engineering space, and we felt that I have an expertise of how to run my enterprise. Can I share this expertise and help another woman entrepreneur set up her enterprise and grow her business? And that's what we have provided, a platform for mentoring. We run a computer literacy center for those of the needy who would like to learn computers. Believe me, there are a huge number of women who need this opportunity. We also run a training center, and we also do a gender diversity program to help multinational companies buy from women vendors. And this is a program called the We Connect India, which is connected to the We Connect International in the USA, which supports, as part of their policy, to buy from women entrepreneurs. Though here we only have a program that supports a preferential procurement policy as part of the central government scheme, which supports government to procure from SMEs, but this particular scheme supports women entrepreneurs to be vendors to multinational companies. Quickly, this is what we do as sharing best practices, mentoring, awareness, access to finance, training, skill training, and we do a lot of international and national delegations. Our journey has been, I'll just share a quick story about our training center. It's been boom time in India. We've been having businesses are growing, but SMEs don't get the required manpower for skilled manpower. So what did we do in Bangalore? Bangalore is close to Bangalore. There is a small district called Tumkur, which is pretty close. So we said, how do we get, most women tend to take up after the 10th standard, the degree, especially in the rural areas, do not tend to find jobs other than in traditional sectors. And most of them go for farming. And then farming is only seasonal. So what did we decide? We were having a dearth for skilled manpower at the workplace. So what did we do? We went to Tumkur. We gave out an advertisement that we will train them hands-on. And we said we'll all provide our own company space for training. So in the morning, we got about 100 applicants for this training program. We selected 25 of them. We brought them to Bangalore. We housed them for 2 weeks. We conducted theory sessions in the morning, and we conducted practical sessions in the afternoon at our own workplace. We trained 25 of them, and believe me, these were women who were just earning about 100 rupees per day. Some of them had no employment. Some of them had to take care of their family. Some of them had drunken husbands. These were really, really women who were relegated to a lot of poverty and misery. We selected these 25, brought them, trained them. After 2 weeks, we sent out mailers to all our members in our network and ensured that they all got a job in some company or the other. Out of the 25 of them, 23 of them were housed. Some of them even took a house together to stay in Bangalore city to find work. And now as Bangalore has grown and we've gone up to Tumkur, some of them have actually gone back to Tumkur, and some of the industries which are there in Tumkur, they have started working there. So this is the difference that we thought we could bring about in conducting these training programs. This is a quick slide about certification of WeConnect, which says that if you're a 51% women-owned and run enterprise, then we have either Ernst & Young or Novo Juris who actually visits the company and certifies that they are a women-owned enterprise, and in the process, they can become a vendor to a multinational company. So a brief about my own company. I'm in the field. I started, as I said, a first-generation entrepreneur. Started my business when I was in my final year of engineering. My mother said, no way, why are you doing this? My father supported me. He said, let her do it. I don't come from a business family. And my mother said, she's going to get married. You're taking a loan. And at those days, it was loan with collateral security. The only property that my father had, they had to give it to me as collateral security. I had a lot of fights at home, but then at the end of it, I'm glad that I started my enterprise. I had this platform to share my thoughts. So these are the kind of products that we do. We manufacture transformers, coils, electronic sub-assemblies, and cable harnesses to multinational companies. Our customers include GE Medical Systems, ABB, Baba Atomic Research Center, public sector units like BHEL. We are an ISO 9001 certified, and we keep having our quality certifications in place. What we ensure is people, product, performance, and that's what keeps our products going. And we do a lot of reskilling for our staff through many training programs, some of the awards and recognitions that I've received. And to end this, I say, you're a woman by chance, be a successful entrepreneur by choice. And as George Bernard Shaw once said, you see things as they are and ask why. But I, as an entrepreneur, dream of things that never were and ask why not and make it happen. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
I request Shri Nath Puriji to sum up this session and then take it to the conclusion.
Listening to Uma reminded me of where I started. And some time ago I was at a function. A couple of government ministers were there, and we were talking. I said, when I came here, if it was today, with my resources what I had then, I would not be allowed to come into UK. And I would have lost, so would have you. You should change this system, allow more Indians to come. They're always ready to work and create jobs. We have some fantastic speakers. Subhash ji, my friend, we're all very proud of him. The statistics he gave makes us aware that we are part of an important world community. We are important wherever we are. I was just talking to Subhash on the side. I said, a few years ago, Indian High Commission did a survey, and then we extracted that in UK, their 1.3% population is Hindu. And then they generate 4.9% of the GDP. More than 3 times, close to 4 times of the average GDP in UK. Our people, they don't want handouts. They want opportunities. And when they get the opportunities, they have changed whole life in UK. How they work. Then we had Sanjay. When I saw his name on the list the other day, last week I was surprised by a video which I was celebrating my birthday early and saw his name. I said, it can't be Sanjay. My son, I've got one son, his name is Sanjay. I said, he hasn't done this again to me because I didn't know they were doing a video. I said, I hope he's not turning up here. Only after I had to read a bit more. And Then I learned it is another Sanjay. Luckily, and I said, we are connected, we are Puris. But wherever we go, and we succeed by hard work, by taking chances. And not only taking chances, proving that the chances we took were the right ones. With Sachin, looking at it, I thought somebody was looking at S1, S2, S3. Subhas, Sanjay, Sachin. Then and what he is doing is wonderful. It is what can be achieved. Innovation. He's innovating. That reminded me that something in my early life, I'll tell you a secret. I used to be a truck driver, driving trucks from Delhi to Calcutta, based in Kanpur. Once we went to pick up bamboos in a jungle. On the way back, there were no pakka roads, by the way. The battery stopped, failed. You can't start, it's loaded. There are 3 of us. You sit down and say, who is going to carry this battery 8 miles to the main road, then get a lift to the district center and come back? I said to the conductor that let's have a cup of tea first. It's a long way to go. Sitting there, I said, we don't have people to push it because it is full. What's the mechanism? Why do they start? I didn't know very much in there. I said, let's try something. We jacked the truck up, put a lever on the wheels, and invented that, for me, a new way of starting a truck whose battery doesn't work. And he put it into gear, and he started. And luckily for me, a year or so later, I had an accident in the truck. I was lucky to survive. Everybody was very sad, so was I. That what a bad luck. Whosoever you meet. Then last week I was sitting there, my nephew is there. They did a video and they found an old picture of the truck somewhere and showed it. And I always say, I'm very lucky. And what do you mean you're lucky, you work hard? I said, no, I'm very lucky. And that day, it reminded me, if I hadn't had the accident, I would have never gone to UK. I would not be standing here. I might be still driving a truck on the GT road. So never look at what happens as good or bad. Look at it. That was yesterday. Today is a new situation. We are going to succeed in the new situation. I don't remember yesterday. Whatever happens. And that's what we should carry forward. There are 1 or 2 other things. And she had done a fantastic job. Starting from a family who didn't have the business. Like in my family, nobody ever manufactured anything. But it's so refreshing, so good. We have got new role models. We can do it. There is nothing we can't achieve if we put our mind to it. And we have got role models. I want to mention something else before I finish and question answer. Next year, World Hindu Economic Forum Conference is going to be in the UK. I hope you will all come. It would be great to see you. There will be a bigger announcement tomorrow. But thinking about it, I was talking to people from Nottingham. They have been chasing me that what can they do to have it in Nottingham? We can show the Rolls-Royce factory. We can take you to people who come. We can take them to Jaguar Land Rover. That's one of the most modern factories in the world. That's why they make lots of money. There's Toyota, there's Boots. I said, that might be important, but if you can fix a match between India and England at Trent Bridge, and then a dinner with the players, I thought that might work. Thank you. I hope I'll keep you informed what happens.
Thank you, Nathpuri ji. Any questions from the audience? Second.
Now, this forum is also welcoming the Indian establishments from the abroad who can invest money and do lot of production in India itself. I have one in mind. How it legally fit into, I don't know. But we should start, this is the right time, we should start calling like a Hindu bank. Means, lot of banks are already there. If we call it like that, even a small investor, Hindu investor settle down in any part of the world, they will start depositing money there, and that can be utilized for the Hindu entrepreneurs. If this is properly planned through the VHP and the legal aspects what are to be checked.
So, Vashi, would you like to answer?
Hello. Yeah, it's an interesting point which has come up at every forum before about trying to create a bank. I think, as I said in my paper, we need to reach to a maturity level as WHEF to be able to come up with implementing ideas like that. But I think the nearest I can mention is what came out from the discussions when Nitin Gadkariji was here and they wanted some funds. Similarly, we could create a WHEF bond where some guarantees, some higher returns can be offered to the non-resident Indians or Hindus who can take the bond without a fear of not losing the money and even cover on the currency. And then they can, the monies can be made available to be dispersed and used in investment into other Hindu businesses. I think that's an idea that can be developed as we go along. But it is certainly at some stage I do envisage and see the possibility of something like a WHEF bank or Hindu bank that has got some values and systems. I think one of the things we often forget are Hindus have tremendous values, tremendous ethics. And I think this is the opportunity with this present government and the way things are going to bring out these values, and a good banking system could do that too.
That there is opportunity and it's a very good idea. I think to create a bank from the beginning is not easy. But I think what might be worthwhile would be looking at a Hindu investment fund. WHEF investment fund. I would be happy to put the first 10 crores in. If somebody will set it up. to invest in businesses in India, to manufacture and wherever. I don't want to be part of it. Somebody professional should manage it. I hope some capable people are listening, and let's have some start of the new idea thinking. Thank you.
Thank you, Srinathji. A question from here. If I
I understand, but it is, as I said, banks are a little bit more difficult to start from the beginning, but if you start a fund, then it becomes, you can convert it later into a bank. If you look at Kotak Mahindra and so on, that's how they started. Yeah, okay, thank you.
all right, Ji. Your question is to whom?
I think I can keep it open.
Okay.
I really appreciate the investment fund part because something similar was in my mind, so I would not repeat that question. Point is, we spoke about the spread of Hindus in the presentations across the world and the economies they influence in the respective countries. My question is that, is it possible for us, WHEF, to create a directory listing, live directory listing connecting Hindu business entrepreneurs across the world, so that anytime, any place, if any from any country somebody wants to connect, then this is the first list of call you can make and seek guidance or start business with.
I think I can give a little bit of information. I was sitting with some friends last night from the main organizers of WHEF, and they were discussing the same thing. Give a little bit of time, data is being collected. You can't print things till you have got the data. Data is being collected. We are making good start. But we should all participate and help.
I would like to share an experience. Way back in 1982 itself, I did a little bit of work with Merrill Lynch in USA, where about 3,000 non-resident Indians were all brought together to create a mutual fund which could invest into India. This was even before Mr. Manmohan Singh, Dr. Manmohan Singh was made finance minister. At that point in time, the legislation was not available. So it was brought and given to unit trust, etc. Thereafter, an E.F. Hutton did the same thing, and there about 7,500 NRIs came together. So one suggestion of the idea I would like to share is that maybe all the NRIs can come together in the form of a mutual fund, because already the markets which were around 19,000 is now 28,000. They're saying it could go up to 38,000. Whatever, the opportunity is there. The writing is clear in the wall. So probably one way of connecting all the Hindu diaspora is together in the form of contributing in the form of a mutual fund, which would invest into the Indian stock market, which will be mutually beneficial for both. And to take the other idea further, yesterday we were talking about a secretariat being formed for WHEF. Probably, like Chairman has so nicely volunteered now, there may be so many businesses who would like to contribute something voluntarily into a fund where they don't have anything except that it should be managed properly. And there are so many opportunities, like yesterday afternoon also we saw, where little money can do big business for the SMEs and all that. So this fund could help start business for somebody who could take off on it and again put back the money into the same fund to help somebody else. So maybe Secretariat could help WHEF. Thank you.
If I can, I'll just comment on both those points. Maybe other panelists might also have a view. The mutual fund idea has already existed. I mean, I am a promoter of a fund that is investing already in India, set up back in 1995. But I think what we want to do is to create something that links the Hindus together. As opposed to investing in the stock market, let us invest in other Hindu businesses that need the money. And the most interesting interesting example that many of you might be aware of is how Aga Khan Foundation operates. The Ismailis give something like, they're meant to give something like 10% of their income into a fund, and any Ismaili businessman can go and approach the foundation. If they need money, they can go and approach the foundation and get funding. So this is the kind of thing we should develop as time progresses, either a bond or a fund, as Natpuri says, which is earmarked and aimed at providing the money to the Hindu business people. Of course, it has to be professionally run. We have many bankers and investment bankers amongst our Hindu family, so we should be able to get that going pretty effectively. Thank you.
One more question, please.
For the community to share, like buyer-seller meet sort of thing, and also job opportunities for the communities. So exclusive portal will help sharing these opportunities.
I sit on this committee, steering committee, one of the members, and these are the points that are already being discussed, as also the other point that was made earlier. We want to get to that stage, but first important thing is to create a comprehensive database of members of WHEF who all over the world who we can work with, and bring that extra level of confidence and trust between us. Because if you're a member and I'm a member, it'll make it easier for us to do business.
Sir, good morning. I don't want to counter what was discussed just now, and I want to take you back what Dr. Bhagwat told yesterday. We Indians have got one tendency that we wait for the ocean to settle down, then take bath in that. Okay. What this gentleman has just brought out, Hindu Bank. By the time we finish this conference by tomorrow, I think by day after, it must be there in the newspaper that some Hindu bank has started, or some Hindu fund has started. We must not waste time. We have already wasted a lot of time. 800 years have been wasted. We don't have even 8 minutes now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji.
I understand, and I wish there was something which I could do. It is not in my expertise. If it was, I would say yes. But I take it, and I always believe there is nothing we can't do, and we'll keep that in mind, that we should have a Hindu bank. We'll create one. I'll have to find the right person who will make the effort. Thank you.
Can I? Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Those are very useful and helpful comments.
I think you have got us thinking. You have got me thinking. I'm sure you have got all the other people thinking here, and some of the key people sitting in front.
Namaskar.
Who make decisions. Yeah, thank you.
Namaskar ji. My name is Kshir Sagar. I belong to Bharat, and I have been involved in a small business trying to help Hindu community based in Bangladesh. This community is deprived, and due to their economic inability, they are pushed to an end where they are being forced to convert into other religion, which they don't intend doing. So I would suggest some businessmen around the world can start some business for this Hindu community. They will work for the business. They will produce goods. Most of the textiles, if you see ready-made around the world in most of the big brands are made in Bangladesh. I think why not Hindu community businessmen go and start a business and help this community. This is my strong suggestion. Not only Bangladesh, there are other parts of the world where Hindus are being sidelined because they are a small minority,
right about
unlike India. So I would request brother businessmen to start something in such places where the Hindu community badly needs them to start. And they will work. They don't ask for donation. You can have your own business, but get them economically strong, you know, by giving them daily bread. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji. I thank the distinguished guest at the dais. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nathpuri Ji.